As we were discussing collaboration, in fact, the way Solve measures its success is in the value and number of partnerships we are able to broker among our community members. So I am delighted to have this conversation with you, Temie and Marianne, as two members of our community who are working together in that kind of transformative way that we consider to be our North Star. So tell us how you first connected. What stood out most from that meeting? Marianne, let's start with you.
Sure, no, thank you so much, Hala. We met at Solve. I was a Solve judge in one of your competitions. I think it's one that actually Temie won. And I was just so struck by the simplicity of her solution. I'm the lead of Merck for Mothers. We were created to help end preventable maternal deaths. And Temie's solution, LifeBank, was doing just that. It was a fit-for-purpose solution, delivering blood so women don't have to die from postpartum hemorrhage. And right now, about 800 women a day are dying unnecessarily, and Temie is part of that solution. I left that competition feeling, this is something that Merck for Mothers should be able to get behind. And luckily, we were able to partner with the US government's Development Financing Corporation to bring together our grant capital with their debt financing and a blended financing instrument so we could support Temie in her vision.
How about you, Temie? Tell us about that first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Marianne said, she was a judge in the Healthy Cities Challenge. And it was really incredible. I was, of course, nervous when I first met her because she's a judge. But we hit it off. There was a connection there because I simply have had this passion for mothers for a very long time, and we shared that connection. And I think it was really very easy from there to sort of like after the competition, we spoke briefly, and then we just kept in touch over the years. And finally, this opportunity came up, and I was just excited to be able to work with them.
Thank you for sharing that. Marianne, what was most compelling to you as a funder about LifeBank and its operations on the ground?
Yeah. So that's a great question. What was most compelling to me and to Merck for Mothers is, Temie epitomizes, the promise of social entrepreneurship. I think so often when we think about private sector and global health, we think about big global corporations. But really, we should be thinking about local private providers, people who live and work in these communities. And how is it that we can invest in them, in that human capital, in order to drive progress? When you go to the LifeBank offices, you see these cutouts of red hearts with a name in them. And they represent a life, every life that LifeBank has saved. You also see, I call them the motorcycle ninjas, the delivery folks on the motorcycles, and you see the passion and the commitment of all of the folks who are working for LifeBank. And to be able to support that type of passion, direction, investment, that's the sustainable solutions that we should all be looking for.
Well, that's very helpful advice for any social entrepreneur out there as well. I want to turn to you, Temie, to conclude the segment. What does this funding and support mean for LifeBank?
Right, thank you. So LifeBank is a medical distribution company. We deliver critical medical supplies like blood and blood products, oxygen, vaccines, any critical supply that will help save a patient's life, that the busy hospital team need to save a patient's life. So that's what we're all about. But we've been local for a very long time. We've been in Nigeria for a long time, basically just figuring out the model, doing the work, doing the hard but simple things of making sure that we can be there for mothers on their sort of like on the best day of their life. So we have always had ambition to grow, right? This problem is not just a Nigerian problem where I live. it's a problem. It's not just an African problem. It's a problem that exists in most developing countries, basically countries that don't have the right infrastructure to ensure that medical distribution happens seamlessly. So we really wanted to scale, but having access to the right capital, the right patient capital, the right expertise, the right ways of sort of like growing and scaling up the team is really difficult. And that's what we found with the Moms Initiative. We get to work with, it's not just about the money's good, but it's also about like the expertise that they bring to the table, the financial management, helping us scale up our team. We're passionate, we're very, very passionate, and we're very focused and committed to the work we do. But we also need a little bit of help to scale up the team to ensure that we're up to the standard and up to the work of delivering these critical supplies across the world. So that's what we have with Merck for Mothers, having that capital, but also having that expertise that allows us to scale our business.
And that is something that we hear a lot, Temie, from our entrepreneurs, that the money is always welcome and needed, but often what is most valuable is that kind of in-kind advice and the expertise that is brought by these partnerships and the ability to scale. Temie, I hope that with people like Marianne and the partnership that you've enabled, Marianne, you're able to take on many, many more countries, developing and not, and we hope to continue to be part of your journey. Thank you, everyone, and back to you, Matthew.